In a dimly lit room, a girl is forced to pose in front of cameras, and the one coercing her to take these photos is none other than her own father. The girl's name is Ayase. She attends school during the day, but at night she becomes a human model here, in front of countless cameras. Ayase has no privacy left. This job has made her the subject of gossip among her classmates. Yet even so, Ayase has never resisted her father because she needs to earn money to take care of her 5-year-old sister. But her beastly father actually wanted to exploit his young daughter for profit. Just when Ayase didn't know how to escape her father's clutches, he suddenly passed away in an accident. Shota is Ayase's only friend. Upon learning that she and her sister have become orphans, he wants to comfort her, but doesn't know where to start. Feeling disheartened, Shota returns to his secret base, only to find billowing smoke coming from his room. When the smoke clears, he discovers a silver-haired girl in a postman's attire in his room, accompanied by a talking cane. The girl named Fumika claims to be there to deliver a letter, but first needs to confirm if Shota is Ayase's boyfriend. In this world, there exists a chance, after death, to write unsaid words from life onto a letter, which is then delivered to the living by a special messenger of the underworld known as Shigofumi. Fumika embodies this role as the messenger of the underworld, assisted by a talking cane named Kanaka. However, Fumika faces a dilemma this time because Shota is not Ayase's boyfriend. According to Ayase's father's request, this letter must be delivered to Ayase's boyfriend. Shota is the only resident of this unfinished building. His biggest dream is to build a rocket, but each attempt ends in failure. Everyone mocks him until one day, when Shota meets Ayase, Ayase doesn't ridicule him. Instead, she truly believes that Shota can build a rocket. So the two people, isolated by their classmates, quickly became good friends. Ayase often comes to the rooftop to help she and Shota calculate formulas and modify equipment. It seems that building a rocket has also become her dream. Watching Ayase's innocent smile, Shota silently falls in love with her. However, what he doesn't know is the immense pain hidden behind that smile in Ayase's heart. Therefore, naturally, he wouldn't think about what this Shigofumi from Ayase's father represents. Naive Shota believes it to be Ayase's father's final wish, but he cannot receive this letter as Ayase's boyfriend. So he resolves to muster the courage, and immediately calls Ayase to confess his feelings. However, Ayase is preoccupied with her father's funeral and hastily hangs up the phone. Shota's rocket is about to be successfully developed, and he decides to focus on completing it quickly. When the time comes, he plans to use this opportunity to confess his love to Ayase. Shota tirelessly works on the rocket day and night, while Fumika chooses to stay waiting for Shota and Ayase to officially become a couple. When that happens, she can formally hand over the letter to Shota. Finally, on that day, Shota, who had never been supported by anyone, actually succeeded in building a rocket. Shota wanted to share this good news with Ayase, but at that moment, he noticed the letter that Fumika had accidentally left behind. Driven by curiosity, he read all the contents of the letter. Shota is shocked to discover that this letter is not a farewell message at all, but rather a letter from Ayase's father accusing her of killing him. He wants Ayase's boyfriend to help him expose Ayase. Shota was unaware of what Ayase had been through, but he couldn't bring himself to believe that Ayase would commit murder. However, Fumika told him that the dead do not lie. So Shota rushed to Ayase's house, wanting to get everything clear. Yet when he saw Ayase's usual smile, all his doubts dissipated. He firmly believed that Ayase would never take a life. So Shota talked to her about the completion of the rocket. He hoped that Ayase could witness the rocket launch with him and took the opportunity to express his love. Just then Fumika suddenly appeared and interrupted them. Shota immediately stood in front of Ayase, determined to protect the girl he liked. However, Ayase behind him suddenly raised a dagger and stabbed towards him. In this way, Shota died at the hands of the person he was wholeheartedly trying to protect. At this moment, Ayase wanted to kill Fumika as well, but Fumika vanished into thin air before her eyes. Ayase, now consumed by madness, had long been tormented and no longer trusted anyone. Despite knowing that Shota liked her, she couldn't be sure if he would expose her. If she ended up in prison, her young sister would be left with no one to care for her. Initially, she killed her father to protect her sister, and today was no different. So she chose the most extreme way to deal with it. Ayase is out in the countryside, trying desperately to destroy the body consumed by hatred towards her father, which blinded her completely with no other choice but to protect her sister. However, soon Shota's body was discovered by someone. Ayase then chose to flee. She cut her long hair, disguised herself as a man, and boarded a train to another city. However, at that moment, Fumika found her and handed her a letter. The sender was Shota. Ayase thought Fumika was trying to stop her, but Fumika said that the world since had nothing to do with her. Her task was simply to deliver the letter to its intended recipient. After speaking, Fumika vanished into thin air. As the train started moving, Ayase ran off at the last second. It turned out that in the letter Shota had not a single word of blame or resentment towards Ayase. Instead, it was filled with self-blame. Shota regretted being too focused on rocket research and not understanding the pain Ayase had gone through. The only regret in Shota's heart was not being able to watch the rocket he built ascend with Ayase. The gentler Shota was in the letter, the more agony Ayase felt. She ran all the way towards the abandoned building filled with memories between them, the only place where she had ever felt warmth in her life. When Ayase saw the rocket named after her, she could no longer control herself, bursting into tears. Following Shota's recorded handwriting, she prepared to complete the rocket launch task alone. But during the countdown to the rocket launch, the police found her. Ayase, at this moment, no longer resisted. She only hoped to fulfill Shota's final wish. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew the canvas onto the top of the rocket. Ayase quickly pulled out a knife and rushed to cut the ropes. However, her actions led another police officer to mistakenly think she was attacking. While Ayase cut the ropes, a bullet struck her chest. As the rocket launch countdown ended, the rocket, bearing the names of Shota and Ayase, finally soared into the sky. Shortly after Ayase's sister was sent to an orphanage, Fumika also found her and brought a letter filled with longing and blessings. At every place where a life fades away, Fumika always holds a talking staff, descending gracefully from the void above. The letters she delivers contain various emotions like longing, regret, and resentment. But no matter what they convey, they are the final words left behind by those departing this world. This boy named Koichi never wears pants to class every day. It's not because he's poor, but because his classmates don't allow it. And every time class is over, Koichi's backpack gets snatched away and becomes the class's communal trash bin. Whenever this happens, Koichi can only helplessly bow his head. He dares not tell the teacher, nor ask his parents for help. The teacher is well aware of everything. Whenever it's time for class, the teacher always calls Koichi to the front to answer questions, forcing him, without pants, to embarrass himself in front of the whole class. Koichi has no friends. His only solace is the internet. He goes by the online alias Half-Dead Man, signifying someone who is half dead. Every day, he shares his experiences online, drawing a large crowd of onlookers, including his classmate Morishita. Morishita's favorite pastime is checking out the comments about Koichi. Many online users advise Koichi to speak to the teacher. Whenever Morishita reads such comments, he can't help but mock them, thinking they must be self-righteous parents. Gradually, the bullying Koichi faces at school becomes more severe. His posts attract more attention, but it doesn't change anything because most online followers are just spectators. As part of this group, Morishita eventually realizes that this individual with the alias Half-Dead Man seems to be his classmate. So on this day, when Morishita saw Koichi barefoot searching in the bushes for his lost shoes, he grew curious. He asked Koichi if he was Half-Dead Man. Hearing his online alias being called out, Koichi thought Morishita had come to help him. Koichi quickly knelt down and pleaded with Morishita for assistance, expressing that he could no longer bear it all. But Morishita believed that Koichi was bullied because he was too soft. He said he couldn't help him and chose to leave. However, before he could get far, he was intercepted by bullies. They had seen Morishita talking to Koichi and mistakenly thought Morishita was Koichi's friend, deciding to target Morishita for bullying as well. Seeing this, Morishita hurriedly explained that he had no connection with Koichi, but the bullies demanded that he prove it through actions. That same evening, Koichi received a call from Morishita, who said he wanted to help. Without much thought, Koichi went to meet him. However, upon arriving at the agreed location, he found the bullies there. Soon after, Morishita emerged from behind and, to avoid being bullied, joined the bullies' ranks. They forced Koichi to walk across the steel beam of the rooftop. Koichi is too scared and can only kneel on the ground, begging desperately at this moment. Morishita discreetly tapped on his phone in his pocket soon after the school security guards rushed over, halting the bullies, successfully rescuing Koichi. That evening, back at home, Morishita opened Koichi's website and discovered a post he had made before the meeting. In the post, Koichi mentioned that a friend was willing to help him and that he would update his followers upon his return. Seeing this, Morishita felt relieved. Despite deceiving Koichi, he indeed called the security guards to save him. But the next day, the teacher informed everyone of Koichi's death. He had committed suicide, clearly under duress. The individuals responsible for coercing Koichi to his death showed no remorse. Rather, they scoffed at the situation. This incident quickly garnered media attention, yet the teacher did not seek the truth, but instead warned all students not to speak out of turn. Soon reporters began interviewing within the school. Yet Koichi's classmates acted as though nothing had happened, continuing to chat and laugh as usual. But Morishita still believed that Koichi was too weak, which led to his choice of suicide. However, he soon began to feel Koichi's pain, as the compasses now pierced his own back. Clearly, with Koichi's death, Morishita became the new target of bullying. The tactics previously used to torment Koichi were now directed at Morishita. Now Morishita finally understood that mental torment is more painful than physical torment. So he began to refer to himself as the half-dead man and started sharing his experiences online, hoping for someone to come to his aid. However, soon enough, Morishita faced a final game, just like Koichi's. But this time the bullies were even more extreme. They demanded that Morishita walk blindfolded across the steel beam of the rooftop. However, at this moment, Fumika, dressed in a male carrier uniform, suddenly appeared. She quickly subdued the bullies, and then handed a letter to Morishita. Fumika told him that she was the messenger of the underworld, and that the letter was from the deceased Koichi to Morishita. The contents of the letter were filled with Koichi's resentment towards Morishita. Koichi had regarded him as a savior, but Morishita had joined the bullies to torment him. Koichi had foreseen that Morishita would also become a new target of bullying. He wanted Morishita to truly experience the feeling of being bullied. After reading the letter, Morishita collapsed. He had thought he was helping Koichi, but instead Koichi cursed him in this way. When he lifted his head again, Fumika had already disappeared. At this moment, the bullies surrounded Morishita once more and began to punch and kick him. But then Morishita saw a screwdriver in front of him. In his despair, he seemed to glimpse a glimmer of hope. Without hesitation, he picked up the screwdriver and stabbed one of them directly. At that moment, Morishita's long-suppressed emotions were finally unleashed. The other two, frightened, fled in disarray. Meanwhile, Fumika, who had just delivered the letter, stood at a distance, watching everything unfold. She was merely a messenger of the underworld, responsible for delivering Shigofumi to the designated recipients. She had no authority to interfere in the human world. Shortly after news of Morishita's actions spread online, once again sparking heated discussions among netizens. Among them was a girl who had experienced similar hardships, but unlike Morishita, this girl finally mustered the courage to seek help from her parents. Surely her life would take a different turn because of this. While this story may seem heavy, it reflects the harsh realities of life. Bullying in schools is a recurring issue, leaving victims not only with painful memories, but also with deep emotional scars. Let's hope that when faced with such situations, everyone can summon the courage to resist or to aid those in need, so that the cherished school days are free of regrets.